man, what am I gonna do? I mean, I wanna go driving, but I've got 2 broken wrists. So my senior year, my dad offered, okay, we can go on any trip that you want. What do you want to do? And so my sister before me, she had chosen to go to Italy and travel, the entire peninsula. My passion has always been cars. So I was like, okay, let's go to like a driving school or something like that. So I started looking at like Dirt Fish Rally School up in Washington, and other like racing schools, anything like that. And I settled on the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving. We called and we got set up with the full length 4-day thing. And we wanted to do it over spring break, because if we went during the summer, Phoenix is just way too hot and it's just not going to be pleasurable or anything like that. I wouldn't even want to be outside. And so we set it up with being spring break. The week before I was running track, I was in the 300-meter hurdles, and it was my first race in the 300-meter hurdles. And on the second hurdle, I kind of hooked it with my right foot, and I kind of went tumbling, and I kind of, rolled into it. I went up to my coach afterward. He's trying to console me because it was quite embarrassing. All the people in the stands and all the girls on the side just watched me just eat it, He gave me a high five to make me feel better, I guess. And that was the most painful high five I've ever had. I'm like, I can't really move my hands that well. And they were just like aching so bad. So I went up to my dad and I'm like, Dad, my hands just hurt so bad. And he's looking and it's starting to swell in the joints a little bit. And he's like, Ryan, I think you probably broke your wrists. And so we headed to the hospital, and it turns out I had broken a tip off of my radius right here. And also some of my carpals had chips in them. So there's pieces floating around in there. So every time you moved them, they kind of stabbed you. And this was the Tuesday before spring break, before I was going to go to the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving. Man, what am I going to do? I mean, I want to go driving, but I've got 2 broken wrists. I thought about it for a little bit. My dad asked me, he's like, okay, it's fine. We could probably just move it to the summer. I'm like, I don't want to go in the summer. I want to go now. We kept with it. We showed up at the place. I had a cast that it's not like a wrapped one. It was kind of like a one that they kind of like melded to your arm, and that you could pull off if you want. And also I had like a little kind of brace on my wrist on my left hand, because it wasn't as severely fractured as this one was. And so we showed up there. I had the cast on this one because I needed it, and then I took the brace off of this one because I just wanted them to let me drive. I hoped they would let me drive it with 1 broken wrist. And if I walked in with 2 braces, like, what is this kid doing here? With 2 broken wrists. So the track, it was in Chandler, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix. The Grand Prix road racing course, they teach you everything about how to like be proficient on the track, including heel-toe downshift. That was actually the first lesson that we had, was how to heel-toe downshift. The C7s, I guess this is an advertisement for how crisp their gearbox is. It didn't hurt my wrist at all to shift into 3rd or 5th gear or anything like that. They treated me as like a normal guy that was going through their program. They recognized that my arm was broken, but they didn't give me any breaks. Like the first day, they kind of just want to like get to know you a little bit, and so we can kind of get in. And then the second day, they really start to like get on you about like technique and everything like that. So after the first day, they saw that my one wrist was broken. They didn't know about the other one, and they just treated me as normal as any one of their students. So I thought that was cool. On the last day, we got to drive Formula Mazdas. The previous 3 days were all C7 Corvettes. The Formula Mazdas, they have like straight cut gears, dog boxes. You can kind of just like slam it into gear. My instructor had told me, don't baby the gearbox at all. Just, you have to slam it into gear, to make it shift. And he was right. You really had to like slam it into gear to do it. And first gear and a 3rd gear especially, because that's what you were hitting at speed, you had to jam your wrist like that. And I had, this was the more severely fractured wrist. And I am sure to this day that I had fractured it again, shifting into 3rd gear down the straight. And that was like a really painful experience. Like, you should be happy if like, oh man, you're going around this track in like a race car, but I'm also just like in severe pain just every time I shift the car. But I did the whole course. They're all just like, oh, don't let him be faster than you. He's got 2 broken wrists, But yeah, that was my experience with that school, and I got the certificate and everything. I completed it, and I did it with 2 broken wrists.